Welcome to 100% Alive, the show where you overcome your fears, your frustrations, and your failures to do what you never thought possible. I'm Dr. Loren Murfield, and I'm your host. You were born for this. You were born to live 100% alive. Wow. Think about that. Think about the possibilities and think how great you'll feel. You will feel as great as if you're on your favorite beach, on your favorite vacation, whatever it is for you. It's living in that moment. It is living with that purpose. It is living with that goal and progress where you're saying, it can't get any better than this. I like to spell out alive as actively living in victory every day. Wow, that is cool. Let's just break that down just a little bit. Actively, you are purposely choosing to be going toward this goal and being in this moment. You're actively choosing. Can't get there being passive. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But you're actively living, not just existing. You're purposely living. You're planting, growing, purposely stretching and growing and doing and becoming. Wow. You're not only plugged into the source of power, you're actively learning because you want to know more, you want to be more, you want to do more. And then you want to evolve into whatever's next. You're not sitting still, actively living in victory. In other words, every day, and I would argue the goal is every minute, we want to be winning in victory. We want to win. Now, it's not a competitive winning, saying I win, you lose. We don't want to do that. Instead, what we want to say is, I'm working toward my goal. What is my goal? We should be leading a purpose-driven life. What is our purpose? What is our calling? Where do we want to go? And when we do that, when we're working toward our purpose and when we're saying, how can I keep thinking bigger, reaching higher, and dare we say, doing what we never thought possible. Isn't that exciting? And we're doing that every day. We're in that consistent mindset to say, what if I did? Why not? That would be exciting, wouldn't it? Can you imagine what your life would be like when you're living 100% alive every day, every minute? Now, I recognize that oftentimes life dishes us a meal we don't want to eat. We never ask for it. It's all kinds of negative things that can happen to us. You know, we transition through some things. There's always a loss of a loved one at some point. We expect to lose those people older than us. But sometimes we lose younger people. I've been there. It's a punch in the gut. There's times when we lose a job. And it might be our career that we lose, not just a job, but a career and our livelihood. And it threatens our financial stability and viability. We don't want that. We don't want those things and say, Doc, how can you be 100% alive when you bury your youngest, or when you bury your parents, or when you walk out of your office with a box full of stuff, and that's it. What happens when your house is foreclosed? I get it. I understand that we're not going to be happy on top of the world every second of every day. I understand that there's going to be challenges. There's going to be disappointments. Here's the thing. We can live above our fears, our frustrations, and our failures. We can live above those. We can live beyond the disappointments, the depression, and the defeats. By living 100% alive, go back to what we talked about. We are actively choosing to follow a certain purpose, actively choosing to understand who we are, how we are uniquely valuable, a purpose that we have. And we set forth to do things that we never imagined. That is living 100% alive. It's not sitting back and saying, this is good enough. It's not sitting back and saying, I'm better than somebody else, so therefore I'm going to keep the status quo. Not at all. It's not good enough to say, oh, I'm going to get mine. I don't care what I have to do. It's business, so I'm going to get more money, whatever way I can. No, 100% alive isn't a selfish ambition. 100% alive is when you make those people around you alive as well. You're celebrating together to make the world better, to make the community better. 100% alive. I'm a man of faith, and my faith comes as a Christian. And I find my strength a lot of times through the word, and it's John 10:10, the last part that really makes the most sense to me when we're talking about this and about a purpose. And it says, and it's the words of Jesus. And I like to say, until we really focus on and can get a command on the red letter verses of the Bible, then let's forget about some of the other things that are more competitive, egotistical, perfectionistic type things. And when I see that Jesus, who was part of the triune God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, purposely came to earth to take on the body of a human, the failed body of a human, so that he could help us do what we never thought possible. That's living 100% alive. So it's like, what does he say about that? He says, I have come that you might have life more abundantly. More abundantly than the sands on the earth. More abundantly than sands on this beach behind me. Think about that. If you've been on a beach lately and say, I'm going to count the grains of sand. If it's a sandy beach, you're going to say, I can't count them. We have more than what we need and even more than we want. Wow. That says I can live more abundantly. I can live 100% alive. When people say, well, that's impossible. No. Impossible simply means we don't have the resources yet. Isn't that exciting? Because every day somebody is proving something that was labeled impossible, they're proving it is possible. Isn't that exciting? And 100% alive. It doesn't mean you're happy every day or every minute. It doesn't mean you're in that euphoria. I like the word, use a different word, and I like to differentiate. Happy, you're just kind of, as one person says, rock star happiness. You're in the moment. You're in that mountaintop. Well, we're not always living on the mountaintop. A lot of times we're in the valleys. But even in the valleys, even when we have those failures, those frustrations, even those fears, we can live 100% alive when we know our purpose, when we know what we want to do, when we are connected. So I'll use the other one. When we're connected to a power bigger than ourselves, when we are learning to do what we never thought we could learn and learning about how we can do things that we never thought possible, when we're actually doing them, and then when we're becoming, evolving, transforming into that person. Wow. I know because I've done it. Now, I'm a pretty serious guy. I'm not always smiling and happy and all that, but I still look at it and I say, I'm doing crazy good things. Because, you know, I started out in life as a chore boy on a farm in South Dakota. And I shoveled so much cow manure, I felt like a piece of it. My self-esteem reflected that. And I made choices that I wish I could go back and change. And I went through and I had the disappointment, went a year to school, couldn't afford to go back. I could have gone to a different school. I chose not to do that. I made bad decisions, went to work, factory jobs and warehouse jobs, make a living. I got married, had 3 wonderful kids, but then it got against my desire. I went through a divorce. That happens in life. And I made a pivot. That's when I started actively living. So when I chose to go back to school and get my bachelor's, but then not only there, I says, wait a minute, I don't want just a job. I want to make a difference. And I decided to go for my PhD, which means bachelor's, master's, PhD. Actively chose to go to the top level. But even then, I actively chose to pivot and say, wait a minute, even in teaching college, I didn't feel like I was making the difference that I wanted to. And I transitioned into an executive coach. But I also became an author, not just once, but I've just put out my 31st book in 14 years. I've written, produced, and acted in a 10-minute movie short. I've written 4, 5, 6 plays and staged 4 of them. And now this TV show. And I don't know what's in the future. I don't know where it's all going to go. But I love the energy. I love the energy of saying, what if and why not? Not just saying, I'll take what life gives me. Not at all. I want to say, I want to live abundantly, more abundantly. I want to live 100% alive. That's why I started running 10 years ago. And 4 years ago, ran my first marathon. I'm slow, but I finish. Hey, I did more than I ever thought I could do. That's the point of 100% alive. That's where we want to go. That is the beauty of life. It's not about fears. It's not about frustrations. It's not about failures. No, it's about living 100% alive. And in the process, there's moments that we need to relax, refocus, and recharge. So it's not all full of energy. There's times where we sit back, meditate, and be in peace. Imagine a year from today. Look at your calendar, mark it down on your phone if you want. Mark it down and say, imagine what your life will look like if you have lived 100% alive for a year. You've chosen your attitude. You've chosen your purpose. You've chosen to reconnect, to refocus, to recharge. Imagine by a year from now how your world will be different. In your own mind, ask yourself, what will be different? What's the number one thing you want to be different that you can change? Not asking somebody else to change it for you, that you can change. Now, visualize that. Isn't that going to be phenomenal? Isn't that going to be great? Now, what I want to do is I want to leave you with a challenge. Number 1, I want you to believe it. Believe that you can live 100% alive. Stand in front of the mirror, look yourself in the eye, and tell yourself until you believe it. Because you were born for this. You were born to live 100% alive. You were not born to be a victim. You were not born to be a loser. No, nowhere does it say that. Second, I want you to reach higher. I want you to look at your life and you say, this is what I want. How can I reach for it? How can I learn more and do more? Identify that and start working on it. The third thing I want you to do is share this knowledge. Share it with somebody else. Share this TV show with somebody else, saying, hey, I just heard this. I want to be charged up about this. Now, I'm Dr. Loren Murfield, and I am your host for 100% Alive, the weekly internet TV show that helps you to think bigger, reach higher, and do the impossible. To transform your thinking to live more abundantly. Again, 100%. Thanks for joining our show. I'm Dr. Loren Murfield, and until next week, remember, don't just survive. You were born to live 100% alive.